a mysterious woman who could see the future, but to keep that power, she had to live alone. No love, no touch, no family. In this story, we'll see how a son cuts off his own father's head and what finally happened to that cursed gift. The story begins thousands of years ago, in a time when Egypt was divided into many tribes and the pyramids had not yet been built. During that time, a terrifying tribe rose to power, led by a bloodthirsty warrior named Memnon. He attacked and conquered one tribe after another, and he had never lost a battle. The secret behind his unstoppable victories was his personal sorceress, Cassandra. She could see the future. She knew who would win and who would lose before the battle even began. Memnon would plan every move based on her visions. Amid the war and destruction, a few independent tribes remained, secretly trying to protect themselves. But the leaders of these tribes were so afraid of Cassandra's powers that they didn't dare to fight Memnon. However, there was one man who stood apart. He was a tribal chief named Phiron, who still carried the fire of rebellion in his heart. Phiron called upon 3 brave warriors, and the strongest among them was a fierce fighter named Matthias. Phiron made them an offer. If they could kill Cassandra, he would reward them with his last precious jewels. They agreed, though Phiron's son was angry at this decision and began to grow a silent rebellion in his heart. The warriors then set out for the fortress where Memnon and his sorceress lived. But before they could reach Cassandra, disaster struck. Memnon's sharp-eyed soldiers suddenly attacked them with arrows. Matthias barely survived. One of his companions was killed on the spot, and the other, his own brother, was wounded and taken prisoner. Crossing every obstacle, Matthias finally reached Cassandra and aimed his arrow to kill her. Just then, Cassandra speaks, "You have been betrayed." Before Matthias can even understand, Memnon's soldiers appear and capture him, dragging him before the throne. There, standing already, is Phiron's son, who had murdered his own father and pledged loyalty to Memnon. He believed Memnon could never be defeated. His father had ignored his warnings, so he took matters into his own hands and killed him. The situation worsens when the soldiers bring in Matthias's wounded brother, still clinging to life. Without hesitation, Memnon kills him in front of Matthias mercilessly. Then he moves toward Matthias to execute him too. But just in time, Cassandra appears and stops him. In a grave voice, she warns Memnon, "If you kill Matthias or let your men take his life, your fate will be sealed. Everything you've conquered will slip from your hands. The fall of your empire will be certain." She reveals that her powers have shown her a vision of the future, Matthias as a noble and divine man, a symbol of justice and resistance against cruelty and tyranny. Believing her prophecy, Memnon spares Matthias but chooses a slow and torturous punishment instead. He orders that Matthias and a captured thief be buried up to their shoulders in the desert sand, left to die from the scorching sun, suffocation, and swarms of deadly ants. The soldiers carry out the order, leaving only their heads above ground. Then they release smoke into a nearby ant nest, forcing out venomous ants that start crawling toward them. These ants were so lethal, they could strip a living man to bones in minutes. Many had already died this way, as the scattered skeletons showed. Slowly, the ants begin to approach, but fate was on Matthias's side. The thief buried beside him manages to break free and pulls Matthias out as well. Together, they escape. After coming back from the jaws of death, Matthias makes a vow to destroy Memnon and his evil sorceress Cassandra and to avenge his brother and fallen comrade. He begins his journey toward the heart of Memnon's vast empire. Meanwhile, Memnon discusses his future plans with Cassandra. He says, "I want to crush the remaining tribes and bring the whole region under my rule." But Cassandra stops him and says, "So much bloodshed, war, and destruction brings nothing in the end. Power fades, but death and regret last forever." Here we see that this sorceress is actually kind-hearted. Even after her heartfelt warnings, Memnon doesn't change his ambitions. He declares, "I want to conquer the whole world, and when I do, I'll marry you." But Cassandra knows a bitter truth. If she marries or even touches anyone intimately, she'll lose all her magical powers forever. Calmly, she replies, "If I marry you, I'll lose my ability to see the future and all my powers." Still, Memnon confidently says, "Once I rule the world, your powers will no longer matter." On the other side, Matthias and the thief secretly sneak into Memnon's kingdom. A street child suddenly steals Matthias's bag, which contains the rare jewels gifted by Phiron. Matthias chases him down and catches him, asking why he did it. That's when he learns that the boy is a local who knows every alley, secret passage, and guard's position. Matthias makes him an offer. If you take me into the palace through a secret path, I'll give you this jewel. The boy agrees and leads him through hidden tunnels. Inside the palace, they meet a mysterious old man working with explosive mixtures. In conversation, they learn he's a brilliant scientist who once made powerful weapons for Memnon, especially explosives like gunpowder. But he never liked Memnon, who treated him like a tool and never showed respect. Matthias asks him where Memnon is right now. The old man stays silent, so Matthias places his sword at the man's throat and demands again. Calmly, the scientist replies, at this hour he's probably practicing sword fighting in his private training chamber. With the boy's help, Matthias quietly makes his way there. Before climbing up, he thanks the child and gives him the promised jewel. Matthias then pulls out his bow and aims at Memnon. But just as he's about to fire, he sees a terrifying sight. Memnon's guards have captured the child and taken the jewel from him. They assume he stole it. Enraged, Memnon declares punishment under Egyptian law. Cut off this boy's hand. As the soldier raises his blade, Matthias drops his revenge and chooses humanity. He fires an arrow, striking the soldier just in time to stop the punishment. But this reveals his location. The guards rain arrows at him as Matthias barely escapes into a nearby chamber, where, by fate, he comes face to face with Cassandra, bathing. Seizing the moment, Matthias kidnaps her and escapes the palace. His plan is simple. He knows Memnon is emotionally attached to her. To draw him out of the palace, he'll use Cassandra as bait. And when Memnon comes to save her, Matthias will strike him down. And then he'll kill Cassandra too. Firm in this decision, Matthias and the thief head toward the Valley of the Dead, where they decide to rest for the night under the dark, silent sky. But danger didn't spare them that night either. While they were asleep, Cassandra quietly tried to escape. Matthias sensed it and caught her immediately. He asked firmly, "Do you want to run back to Memnon?" In a soft voice, Cassandra replied, "No, I will never return to Memnon. He stole my childhood. I was nothing but a prisoner in his palace." Matthias then asked, "Then why did you save my life that day?" She paused and said, "Because I can see what's to come. I saw a future where you were the one who would rescue me from Memnon's palace. That's why I lied to protect you from death." Matthias calmly said, "If you want, you're free to go. But know this, the world outside is more dangerous than I am." After a long silence, Cassandra looked into his eyes and replied, "No, I'll stay with you. My path is no longer separate." The next morning, the three of them continued their journey. But in the scorching desert winds, Matthias realized Memnon had found them and sent soldiers to kill them. Matthias knew a massive sandstorm was approaching, so he tied cloth around his eyes beforehand to keep his vision safe. As the storm hit, Memnon's soldiers were blinded by the swirling sand. Using this chance, Matthias took them down one by one. Just then, Memnon's commander spotted a cave and took the surviving soldiers inside. Matthias followed them silently into the dark. In the shadows, he defeated them all. Seeing this, the commander tried to flee, but Matthias caught him. Before dying, the commander shot a poisoned arrow, one specially made with venom like that of a scorpion, a gift from Memnon himself. The arrow struck Matthias and poison spread through his body. He collapsed inside the cave, unconscious. Night fell, and Matthias was on the edge of death. Then Cassandra, using all her magic, pulled the poison out of his body. Her courage, power, and compassion brought Matthias back to life. The next morning, Matthias found a messenger bird carried by a fallen soldier. He sent a message to Memnon saying all his troops were dead. After reading the message, Memnon, to keep morale high among his remaining forces, lied and announced, "Matthias is dead." When the soldiers kept asking about Cassandra, he claimed, "She's in the palace, sick, and not seeing anyone." In truth, he was hiding her disappearance, fearing that if they found out she was gone, their confidence would crumble. Meanwhile, Matthias, Cassandra, and the thief wandered through the burning desert, desperately searching for water. Suddenly, a powerful explosion shook the air. They saw the old man, the one who used to make gunpowder for Memnon, successfully ignite a blast from the mixture he had perfected. He too had fled the palace, now a fugitive because Memnon had discovered he secretly helped Matthias. Overjoyed to see Cassandra safe, the old man joined them, and together the four resumed their journey. At last, they found a water source. But just as they approached it, a group of soldiers ambushed them and took them prisoner to a tribal camp. Inside the camp, they found many people who had also escaped Memnon's cruelty and were hiding there. After some time, the tribal leader appeared, and Matthias recognized him. Though they knew each other from the past, there was no love lost between them. The chief, hostile and suspicious, wanted to execute the prisoners, but just then the tribe's queen intervened and stopped him. Even so, the chief ordered, "Bring the sorceress Cassandra to me." Matthias stood firm and declared, "Anyone who wants to get to her will have to go through me first." Enraged, the chief challenged him to a duel. A fierce fight erupted between them. The chief was strong, but in the end Matthias defeated him. As silence fell, Matthias spoke calmly. "We are not enemies. We share the same enemy, Memnon. If we unite, we can bring him down." The chief paused and then asked, "But how can we fight his vast army?" Matthias answered with conviction, "We'll fight together, with courage, strategy, and unity. Memnon's fall is inevitable." Finally, the chief agreed and decided to join forces with Matthias in the war against Memnon, allowing them all to stay and prepare for the coming battle. That night, Cassandra had a terrifying vision. She saw Memnon attacking their camp, slaughtering countless innocent people. Overwhelmed with fear, she rushed to Matthias and told him what she had seen. Matthias, calm but determined, responded, "Memnon will die by my hand." But soon after, Cassandra saw another vision, this time of Matthias being struck by an arrow, gravely wounded, taking his final breath. Shaken, she warned him, "If you face him, you'll die. It's written in your fate." Yet Matthias stood firm, replying, "I write my own fate." Their bond grew deeper that night, and as they drew close, Cassandra lost all her magical powers. She could no longer see the future. Later, while everyone slept, she quietly rode away on Matthias's camel, heading back to Memnon's palace. She was willing to sacrifice herself to prevent more bloodshed. By morning, Matthias discovered she had returned to the palace. Refusing to let her become Memnon's prisoner again, he prepared to go after her alone. But the tribal chief stopped him and said, "You won't go alone. We're coming with you." Meanwhile, in Memnon's palace, everyone was celebrating. There was dancing and singing as they prepared for the upcoming battle. Memnon's soldiers kept asking about Cassandra as they were set to go into battle the next day. However, Memnon had no answer for them and lied, saying, "Cassandra is ill and resting." Just then, Cassandra appeared and told Memnon, "Tomorrow you will win the battle. Your enemies will come to you, and you will easily defeat them." But now, Memnon started to doubt Cassandra because it seemed that she had lost her powers. He ordered her to return to her room and had the soldier who kept asking about her killed. Then he told his special soldier, "Guard the palace," and left. Meanwhile, Matthias and his men entered the palace, where the old man had been making gunpowder. They began strategizing on how to kill Memnon. Soon after, we see that Memnon brings several containers to test Cassandra's powers, all filled with venomous snakes except for one, which was empty. Memnon told Cassandra to touch the empty container, but she reached for the one filled with snakes. She pulled out a snake and said, "Your time has come." Before Memnon could strike Cassandra, Matthias arrived, and a fight began between them. Elsewhere, the tribal chief fought alone against Memnon's soldiers, killing them one by one. Just then, the chief's son arrived, the same man who had killed his father at the beginning of the story, and joined forces with Memnon. This was also the reason Matthias's brother had died. Now, in a fit of rage, the tribal chief relentlessly attacked him. Meanwhile, the intense battle between Matthias and Memnon continued, taking them to the top of the palace. In the heat of the fight, Memnon threw Matthias down from the top. Just then, one of Memnon's soldiers was about to shoot Matthias with an arrow, but before he could, Cassandra ran to save him. However, when Matthias saw her coming, he turned and pushed her aside, causing the arrow to strike her back instead. This was the same vision Cassandra had seen earlier. As the soldier advanced with his sword to finish Matthias, Cassandra quickly stabbed him with a dagger, killing him. At this moment, Matthias, seriously wounded, saw Memnon in the distance, and his rage intensified. A bough lay nearby, and Matthias picked it up. He removed the arrow from his back and aimed it at Memnon. Meanwhile, Memnon, prepared to block the arrow, was a trained warrior. But this time, the arrow was so fast that it struck directly into his chest, causing him to fall from the palace. At that moment, the thief set fire to the gunpowder, triggering a massive explosion. Memnon fell into the flames and died. This was the end of Memnon, and the people accepted Matthias as their king. The next morning, we see the tribal chief and the others bidding farewell to Matthias and heading back. Cassandra tells Matthias, "Happiness and peace will come to our kingdom." Matthias responds, "I've heard that if you get close to someone, you lose all your powers. Then how did you see this?" Cassandra replies, "I lied. My powers are still with me." They kiss each other, and thus the story concludes. If you like the story, don't forget to give a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, comment next. Thank you so much for watching the video.